Hi guys, let's make some braised goat curry and parsley rice. The meaning of braised is like something that's fried and then cooked. So before you say something, now I'm a big believer in like you don't have to run to defrost your protein for the whole day. Whenever my protein is frozen, I just plop it into a pot and I wriggle everything out. Honestly, if I forget, it's not a big deal. After dismantling my goats and letting all the water come out, I put in some extra water and then I threw in my onions, peppers, and what? Okay, that's it for now. Because I also want to use half of this goat to cook soup, I can't season it until midway. I'll cook some, remove the ones I want to use for soup, and then season this properly like for a curry. I'm just going to put some salt, some chili pepper, and some seasoning cube, not chicken seasoning cubes, like regular seasoning cubes, because like I said, I want to use this for soup, and I can't have my soup tasting like garlicky and gingery and I don't know, not chickeny. And what is in the cubes these days? Like it doesn't break for shit. Like, do you know something? I'm also not a fan of suffering. If my seasoning cube is not breaking, I'm just going to plop it in there. I'll just make sure I don't lose it. So when I cover it and the steam cooks it, I'll just like break it apart. Just make sure you don't lose your seasoning cube in there if you're throwing it in there whole. So I went in with my seasoning cubes and then I put some chili powder and salt. I put it on medium heat and we're just going to let that cook for a bit. I want to put potatoes in. I love potatoes in sauce so much. It just adds a lot of flavor and depth, and it also helps you in case you put too much salt. Just throw in some tomatoes or potatoes and it will absorb the salt. So I love potatoes. You can see my other potato over there is very, very bad. And why I like Irish potato, it's a different color. Like so all you have to do is like cut around the bad parts. It will be visible to the eye. It will be like an oxidized brown. So I just cut away the bad parts. And this is the size I'm going with because the potato is going to shrink when it's cooked. So make sure you cut it in like nice cube shapes. I'm also going to cut my carrot in like medium size, and it's not going to shrink, so it's not going to be as big as the potato in case you're wondering. And the carrots will go in at the end, but the potatoes are going to go in right now because let me just tell you the truth. Potatoes take a crazy amount of time to cook. I don't know why. Like no matter how small you cut it, sorry, it's going to take an ungodly amount of time to cook. So keep that in mind. I've checked on my meat again. I make sure to move it around a lot more than what I'm showing on camera so that all the seasoning at the bottom, one side is not more seasoned than the other. And when it's half cooked, I'm going to bring out all the hooves and all the bony parts of this goat's meat because like I said, for the 100th time, I'm going to make soup. So I just fished out all the bony bits and stuff that's nice for like soup because in a curry, I like fall off the bone. I like a lot of flesh, and we're eating this meal just once. That's why I left only 5 pieces of meat, okay? So you can see the cuts I'm using. Now I went in with my curry and garlic seasoning because I've taken out the one I want to use for soup. So I can season this the way I want to for this particular meal. I'm going in with some ginger powder because I'm just too lazy to peel ginger. Honestly, I can peel garlic, but not ginger. I'm also going in with some Cajun spice. This thing is going to find itself in every meal I cook. For me, it's like an all-purpose seasoning. I don't know if that makes sense. Now, moving on to the parsley for the parsley rice, I'm using only a little because this particular, I don't know, strain of parsley I got is so potent. So a little goes a long way, but I'm going to advise you to use a little more. So when the goat is ready, I just fish them out and I put oil in a pan behind the pot. I forgot to show that. I showed that on the TikTok I was filming, and I just put the goat's meat straight in there. Now I'm not going to put it somewhere to dry first before putting it in the oil because I want the oil to have a lot of flavor because the broth is going back in there anyway. But I'm using a perforated spoon to make sure that water or the fluid doesn't, like a lot of fluid doesn't get into the oil so that it won't splash. And with that same perforated spoon, I'm going to sieve out all the particles of garlic and peppers and onions and everything I used to cook the goat's meat. Do not throw this away. I kept it and I used it for something else. So you don't have to throw this away, but you can. You've used it. You've gotten the flavor and the aromatics. It doesn't matter. But I'm sieving that thoroughly. I sprinkle some curry in the pan after bringing out the goat's meat. I brown the goat's meat just a little bit. Just get to char whatever color you want. Just brown the goat's meat a little, whatever protein you're using. And then pour the strained broth into that curry that you just fried in some oil right now. I'm also going to pour some water to clean out this pot, and I'm going to rinse the pot and pour it into the pan. After rinsing the pot, I put more water into the pot, and this one is to boil my rice because there's no need to wash out the pot. You're just going to get like more flavor in your rice. People love to use cornstarch to thicken. I don't know the advantages, but if you can't find cornstarch, just use like any flour or thickening agent. It has a neutral taste, of course. So I'm going to melt down. Please, you guys should use cold water to melt your flour. Please don't listen to me. Please, I use hot water and I regret it. It did the job, but cold water would have been better. So I melted that and then I poured it into my little sauce going on and just stirred it around very well. Now you see a lot of particles from the sauce and also from my flour. That's why I told you guys to use cold water. If you use cold water, you won't be seeing any of these lumps. But don't worry, it's going to cook off still. Then when the water starts boiling behind me, I'm going to pour in my washed rice. Please wash your rice till the water is like clear. Make sure you scrape down all the flavor from the sides of the pot. And we're going to throw in our potatoes first into the sauce because potatoes take a while to cook, like I said. I'm just going to cover that, put it on medium heat, and season my rice. Yes, I seasoned it with Cajun. You can do whatever you want. I also put some curry in there so it will have a yellow look. Now I'm going to chop up my parsley real quick, and I wish I used more parsley, but like I said, this one was really potent and I was scared. I'm going to put some soy sauce into some dark soy sauce into my sauce. There's no rules in this recipe, okay? This is not Indian, Chinese style, whatever you want. I just wanted the color to be a little darker. I would have used some brown sugar, but I didn't want the sauce to be sweet. I'm just cutting up my potatoes so they cook more evenly because it's not even done yet. Can you imagine? Even after the knife was going through it so easily, it's very deceitful. So I put my protein into the pot because I don't want it to look like or feel like it's different from the sauce. So I need it to really cook in the sauce and absorb the sauce, and it will cook off with the potato. As I'm making this voiceover, there's like construction work going on behind me, so I'm really sorry if you can hear that. This is just, you guys should not leave me alone with vegetables because when I'm cutting vegetables, I'm going to finish it. But when your rice looks like this, it's done. You're going to put your parsley. Like I said, my parsley is a bit scanty. Don't be afraid to use more. And then I'm checking on my sauce as well, obviously. So I put off the stove. If you notice, I put off the stove when I put in the parsley because I don't want this parsley to cook. I want the flavor to infuse, but I don't want it to cook any further because I want it to still have that bright green color. The last thing I put in was the carrot and I let it cook for like 5 minutes and then I plated it up. So this is what it's looking like. I just threw on a parsley leaf there for a little razzle dazzle, but this is what it's looking like. It was so bomb. It tastes better than it looks. He said this is his favorite thing I've ever cooked for him. So let me know if you guys try out this recipe. Don't forget to subscribe.